Hey friends, this is Angela from Art of Creation Homestead. Welcome back to our kitchen. Let me get you set up so you can see good. Now you have a front row seat. And guess what? Today is Salsa Day! If I sound excited, it's because I am. First off, I love to make salsa. Second, this is a day of many blessings. And I will explain that to you in a few minutes. Why this salsa this year is such a huge blessing on our homestead. So now, I'm going to show you a little trick starting out, because this requires a lot of chopping. I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of chopping involved in making fresh salsa. But it's worth every minute of it. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a little trick on how to chop a tomato that will make it much faster and much easier on you. I know, I'm full of little tips and tricks and secret ingredients to recipes. That's just who I am. Trust me, I love to cook, so I love having these little secret ingredients. So what we did there, see, we just sheared off the little belly button bottom. See, we just cut it off. Now, we're going to take it, put the tomato, see this side where the stem was at, put that down on the board. And the place where you cut the little belly button off, put it up. Now take a really sharp knife, as you can see I'm using a chef's knife, and start making cuts. See, like this. You start making little cuts. Let me move you over so you can see better. Is that better? Okay. See, you're making cuts. And if you get to a place where it's not cut at and you have to do the skin, just poke the point of the knife in. Now you turn it so that you're cutting in the opposite direction of all your cuts. You make another line of cuts. And see, now you've got little squares. See, now you have all these beautiful little squares. See? You have all these squares. Now, you turn it this way. And you stick your point of your knife in so that you cut through the skin, and you go down. And see? Now you have all these beautiful little squares. And it's just a few chops down, and you have the whole tomato chopped and ready to go. That's the quickest way that I can tell you to chop tomatoes. Now, see there? There's a big core in that tomato. So you want to cut that out. You don't want that in your salsa. That doesn't make for good eats. So I'm going to cut that core out. And that's going to be a chicken treat. So, now you see all of this meat on the shoulders of the tomato. You want to cut that off. You don't want to throw that away. Now this will be another chicken treat for the chickies. Now, you want to turn that over so the skin side is down so it's easy and it doesn't slide around. And you just make a cut through it, and then you just chop it up. And there, in a matter of minutes, your tomato is all chopped. As you can see here, we've got about 12 really heaping cups of chopped tomatoes. If you don't like the skin, as you can see, there's going to be very small pieces of skin because, as you can see, I cut them very small. But if you don't like the skin, or you can't have tomato skins, you can peel those. But there's 12 generous cups of chopped tomatoes here. And over here, we have 3 cups of mixed chopped onion. See, as you can see, there's some red onion there, there's some white onion there, there's some yellow onion there. It doesn't matter what kind of onion you use, just use your favorite. This is 3 cups. And as you can see here, I also threw this in partially to show you that you can. This is a lipstick pepper that I found in the garden that was ready. So I just chopped it up and threw it in too. Over here, we have a head of fresh garlic that I've grated on a microplane, or you can mince it, or you can use a garlic press. But this is a whole head, which was about 8 cloves. This down here, that beautifulness right there, those are about 9 jalapeno peppers. Those are the jalapenos from Baker Creek. If you're like us and you love heat, but your stomach doesn't, or if you just don't like heat, these are perfect for you because they have all the flavor of a jalapeno, but none of the heat. Sorry about that. Knocked the camera there. So at this point, there's about a cup of those jalapenos there. You can't see them under all of that, but there's about a cup of jalapenos there. You can use a cup of any chilies that you like. Jalapenos, serranos, poblanos, whatever chili you like, you can use it there. About a cup. Or if you don't like spice at all, just leave it out. Or you can even do, I've done this before in years past. You can even use, you know those little cans of green chilies that you buy in the store? Use about 2 4-ounce cans of green chilies in here. It will work great. Then over here we have, as you can tell, these are frozen peppers. What I do every year is when I am chopping and freezing my peppers every year, I save back 1 quart bag of green bell peppers and 1 quart bag of Cubanelle peppers. I save those back every year so that I can use those in my salsa without having to go into the peppers that I have here, and without having to wait for enough peppers to come in the garden, because this right here is 6 cups of chopped sweet peppers. Now if you don't like peppers as much as I do in your salsa, cut that down to less. This is a lot to do with taste. And here we have chopped cilantro. It's about 2 to 3 tablespoons of chopped cilantro. If you don't like cilantro but you do like parsley, use parsley. Personally, I love cilantro. If you don't like either of those, just leave it out altogether. But I would say if you don't like cilantro, try growing it yourself. I promise you, the flavor is so much better on what you grow yourself than the stuff you buy in the store. And here's the kicker. See all of this beautifulness right here? This is the blessing that I was telling you about. And I can't go too in depth because I will start crying too much. But see all of this beautifulness. The tomatoes, the onions, the garlic, the jalapenos, the bell peppers, the cilantro. See all of that beautiful stuff right there. This was all grown. For the first time ever, I've made this salsa for 4 years. And this is the first time ever that every single component you see here was all grown here at Art of Creation Homestead. I am just so completely blown away with God's amazing abundance and His amazing blessings. Isn't our God awesome? What we're adding now is we're adding just a smidge over a cup of apple cider vinegar. I know it sounds strange, but trust me, it works. And about 1/4 of a cup of lime juice. You can use lemon juice, or if you don't have either of them, just put in 1 1/4 cups of apple cider vinegar. It works great that way. And we have about a scant 1/4 of a cup of honey, so that it offsets that vinegariness and boosts up the flavor a little bit. So get all that honey out of there. Now what we have on this plate right here, we have about 3½ teaspoons of canning and pickling salt. And over here, this is a teaspoon of cumin. Now, if you don't like cumin, you can leave it out. But I promise you, you're not going to taste this and say, oh, this has cumin in it. This tastes like tacos. You're not going to say that, because it's just enough to add just a little bit of smokiness, a little bit of earthiness, a little bit of something, something that somebody's going to say, what makes your salsa so good? What makes your salsa a little bit different than everybody else's? This right here is one of the secret ingredients that does that. And I will show you another secret ingredient later. So what we're going to do, we're going to mix all of this together. Now we're going to mix all this together. Now this looks like a full pot, and it is a full pot of beauty right there. But this, as it cooks, is going to wilt down a lot. It's going to wilt down significantly. So don't worry if your pot looks a little small. It's going to wilt down significantly, and it will all work together great. But as you can see, the pot's full, but it works. So what we're going to do, we're going to stir this all together, and then we're going to get it on the stove. Isn't that just gorgeous? Isn't that one of the prettiest things you've seen? Now what you want to do here is you want to bring this to a boil over about medium-high heat. You want to bring this to a boil, stirring it often until it comes to a boil. When it comes to a boil, you want to reduce it down to a simmer. And at that point, you're going to let it simmer until it gets to almost the thickness that you like it. Don't let it get completely to the thickness that you want it, because when we come back, we're going to add another secret ingredient that's going to make it even better. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, as you can see, there's all different kinds of tomatoes in there. There's purple ones, there's pink ones, there's red ones. If I had some orange ones ready, there would even be orange ones in here. Some people use just Roma tomatoes to make their salsa, or just one type of tomato. Me, I use anything that's come in the garden. And I think all of the different flavors of the different colors of tomatoes just makes for a more depth of flavor, a richer tasting salsa, because you get all the depths of each one of those types of tomatoes flavor. So it just makes for a better tasting salsa. It's came to a boil, and now we've knocked it back to a simmer. As you can see, just that, ooh, you can't see anything right now. You're fogging up. Let me clean you off. Okay, as you can see, you've got a gentle bubble going on. That's what you want. You want just a gentle simmer. And this is going to have to simmer for a little while. It could be up to an hour, could be up to 2 hours, depending on how thick you like yours. This is all about your taste. And I forgot to tell you, when I showed you those 6 cups of sweet peppers, I used green bells and cubanelles. You can use any sweet pepper you like. You can use red bells, you can use orange, yellow, green, whatever you like. But remember, whatever kind of peppers you add to here is going to add that flavor. So if you add all red bells or mostly red bells, it's going to be a lot sweeter salsa. That's why I choose to use green bells and cubanelles, because they're a lot more muted on the sweetness, so the salsa isn't going to be as sweet. It's cooked down a lot and gotten a lot thicker. You can tell it's cooked down by look at the line on the side of my pot where it was. Oh, you can't see. You're fogging up again. Clean you off. See where the line is and where it is now? That tells you it's reduced a lot. we're ready to add our next secret ingredient, which is, ta-da! It is 6 ounces of organic tomato paste. I know that sounds strange, but don't leave it out. It makes all the difference in the texture, the viscosity, and even a little in the flavor. Now we're going to put in our tomato paste. And don't drop the bowl into the salsa. Glass in salsa is not a good ingredient. That's not a good secret ingredient. Okay, now we're going to mix that in. It takes a few minutes to get it all mixed in because it is thick, so it's going to take a little bit to get it all mixed in. And as you can see, it's already becoming a beautiful consistency. This isn't going to be a runny salsa. This is going to be a nice thick hold on to your chip type salsa. That's the way I like my salsa. Okay, it's been about 10 minutes after we added the tomato paste. And look at this consistency. Isn't that just glorious? Now do you see why everyone who has this salsa says it is the best they have ever tasted? Trust me, you will say the same thing. It is the best salsa you've ever tasted. Now, we're going to get it jarred up. Now, for those of you who haven't watched any of my canning videos, you may not know about this. This is my little drip station. My mom taught me this at a very early age, that whenever you're canning, you want to put all of your jar, everything, in a pie plate so it can catch all the drips. That way it's not going all over your countertop and staining up your countertop, and you haven't got a mess to clean up. You've just got one dish. So now, let's start ladling up this goodness. Well, using a mug. So, now we're going to ladle it up. You want to leave about 1/4 of an inch headspace. So be careful not to overfill it. Okay. Now we're going to use our handy dandy debubbling tool. See, this is our debubbling tool. See, that's our debubbling tool. And we're going to push it around in there like that. Run it around the edges. That way all the bubbles pop. You don't want any bubbles in there. Bubbles are the enemy of an airtight seal. You want about 1/4 of an inch headspace. So this is also a measuring tool. So see, we're about there. Actually, I just told you wrong. I realized I told you 1/4 of an inch headspace. You really want 1/2 an inch headspace. What am I saying today? You want 1/2 an inch headspace. And see, we're spot on 1/2 inch headspace. So now you want to take a damp paper towel and you want to wipe around your rims. You don't want any food debris left on your rim. Because if you do, then your rubber on your flat will not seal down completely to it. It will just stick to the food that is around the rim, and you could get a false seal. So we're going to set a hot flat there that has been in hot water, and we're going to get out a ring. I have sterilized these jars in the dishwasher. I've washed them in the dishwasher and put it on a heated dry cycle. Now, you want to put the ring on, but you don't want to wrench it down. You just want it just finger tight. So I'm going to sit you down over here so that I'm going to sit you down right here as I put the lid on, just finger tight. See? Just finger tight. Now, we're going to pick it up with our handy dandy jar lifters. And we're going to put it in the water bath canner. Well, first we got to take the lid off of it. I don't think I can put it in there through the lid. That would be a magic trick. Okay, this is the Ball electric water bath canner. So we're going to set it down in there. And we're going to continue filling our jars. Last jar. We'll put it in the water bath canner. And as you can see, it's a full boat in there. The Ball electric water bath canner. You can't see anything right now. Let me clean you up. As you can see, it's a full boat in there. The Ball electric water bath canner holds 7 quarts and 8 pints. And that's exactly what this made, was 8 pints with maybe a couple of tablespoons left over for Jason to taste when he gets home from work. And I know he will enjoy that. The Ball electric water bath canner has a plate, a metal plate, that you put on top of your jars so that they hold in place steady while it boils, so that they don't juggle around and tip over. So see, now they're all secure. Now we're going to put the lid on, and you want to bring this back up to a boil. When you see that it's at a boil, when you see that the pot is at a boil, then you want to let it process. You want to let those jars process, which means boil. You want to let those jars boil for 15 minutes. Then we will turn the heat off and let it set for 5 minutes to let everything settle. It's been 15 minutes. I turned off the heat. They set for 5 minutes. Now they're ready to come out. Now remember, if you've watched any of my other canning videos, you'll remember this. But if you haven't, I'm going to go over it for review. You want to lift straight up. Just tip just enough to knock some of the water off, but not much. And you want to lift it straight over and set it down. And you want to do that with all of the jars. Make sure you don't tip them, because if you tip them, the salsa will slosh underneath the flat and it will give you a false seal instead of a real seal. What I mean by false seal is the tomato product will stick the rubber on the flat down and make it seem like you've got an appropriate seal when you really don't. And it can come unsealed at any point after that. And as you can hear, they're already sealing. They're already starting to seal. I love the sound of that popping, because that means it's airtight sealed. Now, what you want to do, as you can see, there's still water on top of them. Just take a paper towel or a towel and dab that off. Just dab the water off. But you want to be really careful not to hit that little popper. You want to be really careful not to touch that little popper, because if you press it down, then you've sealed it. It hasn't sealed itself. And then you may not have a proper airtight seal. See, that's the little popper that I'm talking about, right there in the center where it's bulged up. You don't want to push too hard on that. So just dab the water away gently. Look at that. Isn't that one of the most gorgeous things you've ever seen? It is such a good salsa. I promise you, everybody that I have given a jar of this to says that it's the best salsa they've ever tasted. You need to make this. You will not regret it. These jars have to sit for 18 to 24 hours without being moved. Just leave them to rest for 18 to 24 hours. And any that has to go in the refrigerator, any that was left over, leave it sit in the refrigerator for about 24 hours so that the flavors will meld together really well. This is Angela from Art of Creation Homestead. We thank you for watching. God bless and have a great day.